All right, Nick, let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders. This is one of the most exciting teams in football right now. I think the fans are really getting behind all of the moves that the Raiders have made, especially under headman Antonio Pierce. He has this fan base fired up. And one thing he has done that I think Raider Nation will really love is he has penned an open letter of sorts to the Raider faithful, just kind of getting them ready for this coming season and talking about the new identity and the new thought of this Raider regime. Let's get into the article. We'll read some quotes from his open letter and we'll talk about it on the other side. This, of course, is from over on SI.com and it says, and believe me, it's only going to get bigger and better from here. At the end of the day, I want to be on that Mount Rushmore of coaches who've done it with the Raiders and led the organization to the promised land. I want to be holding that Lombardi with one hand and a cigar in the other. And you know what? Now that I think about it, Pierce said, that reminds me to all the people out there who want to look down on us or take shots at us because we light up our cigars after wins, or we listen to our music too loud, or play hoops in the locker room, or whatever else it is people want to ding us for. Let me just say this once and for all. We're the Raiders, damn it. We don't need to be liked, but we will be respected. Powerful words here by Pierce, Nick. I think he kind of embodies what a lot of Raiders fans are feeling and what they think is going to be going on in the turnaround of this organization. This is what the Raiders are. Like it or not, you will respect them. And I think Pierce says that beautifully here. Curious what your thoughts are on this. But Nick, before we get to you, Raiders fans, let us know in the comments below. How does this make you feel? Does this kind of embody everything you as a Raider fan feel as about this franchise going forward? Let us know what your thoughts are on Pierce's open letter to the Raiders in the comment section below. But Nick, what do you think about this open letter, to the Raiders fans from Pierce?
So I think first and foremost, obviously it's directed to Raider Nation, but it's also directed to the Raider coaching staff, to the Raider players, to support staff, the entire organization, everyone who works for and is part of Raider Nation. This is Antonio Pierce's open letter, his missive, his declaration that he will be among the Raider great head coaches. That includes, of course, all-time greats. Can't forget Al Davis. He was a coach as well, but of course, Tom Flores, John Madden, and even some guys that didn't even though they didn't win titles, had a lot of success. Gruden comes to mind as one guy as well. This is a big time move. And this is a big time declaration. And this is exactly what the Raiders need. The Raiders right now are kind of similar. We saw a similar thing with the Colorado Buffs and Coach Prime and Deion Sanders to what he's doing there. They're changing up the system. They're revolutionizing the game a little bit with their approach in Colorado. We're starting to see that with the Las Vegas Raiders, and I love it, right? There's been some reports and some talks about this open letters. Like, what kind of coach does this? Does a head coach ever write a letter like this? And the answer is no, it doesn't happen before. This is brand new. And this is exactly what the Raiders need. They are changing the game the way only the Raiders can by acting almost outside the system. And look, obviously, the Raiders, in my opinion, will always a little bit be the Oakland Raiders. And when I think Oakland, San Francisco, I think Silicon Valley. I think all the startup culture, right? I think of Apple and Steve Jobs. I think of Elon Musk and Tesla and SpaceX. And I just kind of think of those guys who historically had, and in Elon Musk's case, still have the ability, they always talk about distort reality, get people around them, their teams, their staffs, to believe in something greater than themselves. And they put like ridiculous deadlines and ridiculous, crazy goals that people sit there and say, that's just bonkers. And they create these weird cultures and weird environments that no one else in corporate America can duplicate or be a part of. And everyone says it's so weird. And they go out and change the world. Elon Musk and Steve Jobs did. They thought differently. They achieved a lot of success, and they didn't fall into norms of the way things have to be done. That's what Antonio Pierce is doing here, and that's what he's declaring the Raiders will continue to do going forward, and I love that. To shake up the apple cart, and which is exactly what the Raiders and Antonio Pierce are trying to do, you cannot just go along with the flow and just do the normal coach stuff. I would have absolutely hated if Antonio Pierce, after he got hired, would go in and they kind of settle in and be boring. They'd be like, all right, now we're going to hold our meetings. Now we're going to do our normal draft evaluation process. It's going to look exactly the same as it did under McDaniels. It's going to look exactly the same like every one of the other 31 NFL franchise. That's not what the Raiders are about right now. They are 100% committed in being a startup. They're 100% committed in changing the game in terms of how you're going to lead a franchise, how you're going to change the dynamics. Everyone was really impressed with what Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions did over the past few years. The Raiders are taking that up to a whole nother level. And this statement, this declaration from Antonio Pierce is proof to me that what Antonio Pierce was preaching during the season and a little bit when he was interviewing for the job, it wasn't making it up. It wasn't something that he didn't truly believe in. He 100% believes that this is the path forward. And again, like the guys who think differently in business, like Steve Jobs, like Elon Musk, when you have a leader who truly, truly believes and is willing to put his name and reputation on the line and is willing to push people on his team to achieve those kind of goals, great things can happen. It's not guaranteed, but great things can happen. And right now, I'm feeling really good about the direction the Raiders are heading in.
Yeah, Nick, and I love what you said, and I think that really truly is what is going to happen under Pierce. And you got to feel good as a Raiders fan thinking about Pierce. He may have played for the Giants, but he talks about growing up as a Raiders fan. This is a team that he loved growing up. This is a team that he watched. These are his idols. These are the people that he wants to be in. And so I love what you said about not really just kind of doing the same old thing. Because like you see so many interim coaches or coaches, first time coaches, they come in and especially with an interim coach, like, okay, I did something. I'm able to get the starting job. Let's not mess this up. Let's go completely out of character. Let's play it safe.
Yep.
Let's do the smart thing. I don't want to blow this opportunity. No. Antonio Pierce says, this is who I am. This is who I'm always going to be, and I'm not going to lose that. So I love that for the Raiders. For better or for worse, I think it's definitely going to be for better for sure. But for better or for worse, Antonio Pierce says, this is who I am. I'm putting it all out on the line. This is the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be. So great job by Pierce. I'm glad that he's took this approach. I think this is why Raiders fans really want him to come in, because everybody thought this was the approach he was going to take. So if I'm a Raiders fan, I'm loving this. I think this speaks exactly what I am thinking in my own head. So Antonio Pierce really feels like he has his thumbprint on the heartbeat of the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think there's one thing really important to add on to something you said there, Miles, but Antonio Pierce is saying, hey, this is what I believe. This is who I am. I think Antonio Pierce is going a step further. He's saying, this is who we as Raiders are going to be. This is who we as Raiders are. We're going to do things differently. We're going to upset the apple cart. We're not going to play it safe. We're not going to be the guy that gets along with the other 31 teams. We're going to smoke our cigars. We're going to do things differently. We're going to play a different brand of football. We're going to be more aggressive. We may taunt you a little bit. If it sounds familiar, it sounds like the great Raiders teams of the 1960s and 1970s. I mean, it just gets me pumped. I'm not even a Raiders fan, guys. It gets me pumped just thinking about those great Raiders teams, and that's the exact kind of mentality they had as well. This is Antonio Pierce being honest. It is who he is, but it's also making a very smart and bold declaration that this is who the franchise, this is who the Raiders are going forward. And I think because of that energy, because of this declaration and all the momentum behind Pierce in Las Vegas, the future is very, very bright for this Raiders football team.